All right, so the background of my project has to do with the growth of supermarkets in cities increasing and market competition being high. The data set that I'm going to be looking at is one of the historical sales of the supermarket company, which is recorded in 3 different branches for 3 months data. My job is to select the next branch for a store to open in, either branch A, branch B, or branch C. So these are the 4 business questions I'm going to be looking at. The first one revolving around large sales volumes of merchandise or product lines. Number 2 being branches having large gross income transactions. Number 3 being branches having high rated transactions. Ratings revolving around customer ratings. Number 4 being which product lines yield high gross income. So here is the data set, a little snapshot preview of the data set. So designing the graph with the arrow tool. So I utilized the arrow tool to map out how I wanted my graph to look. And this is what I came up with. 5 nodes and 4 relationships. The nodes being branch, product, invoice, rating, and gross, standing for gross income, all being tied in some way or related to invoice because the invoice has a unique invoice ID. Loading the data, these are the Cipher queries that I wrote or executed. First, I executed creating constraints on the various on the various nodes, invoice, branch, rating, product, gross. And then I loaded the CSV data, the CSV file rather, and did my merging and created the relationships between the nodes. So this is a snapshot of Neo4j mimicking the previous slide. Then I wanted to look at the labels, keys, etc. So I wanted to get this general kind of scope of what I was going to be looking at as it relates to the terminology and labels of my graph or within my graph. And not necessary, but a nice little preview of a gist or understanding of what's to come. So viewing the graph, I did a quick match and return of limiting 5. I did not want to see the entire graph, but I thought it was worthy to view 5 as that is the exact number of names of nodes that I created in this graph. So as you can see, I was mimicking my arrow tool and seeing how this matched up, and it's exactly what I wanted. So moving into the first business question, degree centrality, which branches are selling large volumes of merchandise or product line. And what I was able to find, or why I did degree centrality here was I really wanted to see the number of connections that the invoice ID had. So this was going to imply to me the number of invoices or transactions a given branch had. So as you can see, A had a large number of invoices, and you might initially think that, okay, A has the potential for the most gross income dollars. However, as we will go down in the business case, that doesn't necessarily hold true. I then did the next portion of business question 1. I did Louvain for the next portion for the community detection algorithm, and I did Louvain because I wanted to see the actual ID that was associated with a given invoice. For me to view this, again, it was kind of a high level, what am I previewing, what am I getting into as I dig into this business case. So then I actually answer the question of total income or total gross income by branch. As you can see, actually branch C has the highest, or gross the highest income. And this is specifically interesting because it had actually the lowest number of invoices. So that to me deems C had some very profitable transactions. Business question 2, average gross income by branch name. Which branches had the largest or large gross income transactions? Again, when I executed this, I needed to see in descending order. I wanted to see the largest to smallest, and I was actually able to see that branch C had the largest on average as well, which again is indicating to me that on average they are having some. Branch C has stores within the branch that have on average high grossing income transactions. And now looking at the average rating by branch name, I wanted to see from a customer's perspective what is being ranked, or excuse me, rated high for that invoice ID specifically per branch or by branch. So what I saw was branch C actually had the average rating of about 6.64 average rating for each of their invoices or transaction. This was significantly higher than A and even more significantly higher than branch B. So again, branch C is starting to become a clear indication of potentially being my choice. Business question 4, average gross income by product line. Which product lines yield high gross income? And this is from a nice high level perspective, regardless of branch. We are able to see that home and lifestyle and sports and travel have the highest average growth income. Actually, pretty significantly compared to health and beauty. And what I mean by significant, that whole number going up to 15 out of the 14 range. I really view that as a kind of a breakaway compared to the rest. And as you can see, this lists all 6 of the possibilities of a product line node. And now we want to dig a little bit deeper and see a detailed level by product line and also including the branch for average gross income. And executing this query was involving multiple relationships across various nodes and converting to integers for some of these nodes as well. And I was able to see that health and beauty out of branch B on average gross the highest income. However, as you look down, C and B dominate this entire, at least for the top 5, this entire business question. Still leading me in the direction, though, of C. I don't think this would be enough to overtake my ongoing choice of C thus far, at least. Making a final decision, I wanted to develop my own kind of overall score and run a query related to that. So what I did is I actually took multiple nodes, multiple relationships, and I got to the point of creating um, somewhat a formula or a math equation of I took the average product line rating for invoice and added that to the average gross income for a product line by invoice and added those two averages together and took that sum and divided it by the total amount of times that product line appeared amongst invoices for a given branch. So in summary, I got an overall score of a product line for a branch. And as you can see, branch C, product line sports and travel, and branch C, home and lifestyle, had the 2 highest overall scores, which leads me to my selection of branch C, as it also indicated earlier that there was not a lot of transactions, but yet had high yielding gross income on average and in total, which says to me it's not a very saturated branch. It could use another store. Thus, also leading to the potential for high gross transactions, as we've seen historically throughout the various transactions branch C has had in the past 3 months in the data set. So my decision is branch C. As I summarize here, heavy focus on product lines sports and travel and home and lifestyle. Both product lines yield high gross income and ratings per product line sold.